You are holding a cup. It is made from a human skull, carefully cleaned, carefully shaped. The edges smoothed so they would not cut your lips. Someone made this about 14,000 years ago, in a cave in England, and they used it. We know because the cut marks are still there. We can read exactly what they did, step by step. Scrape the flesh, remove the face, break the base along one clean plane, then retouch the rim until it is even. 3 of these cups were found there. 2 belong to adults. 1 belonged to a child, about 3 years old. This is not a legend. The cup is real. It sat in an English cave for millennia, a child's skull, reshaped by careful adult hands. Whoever did this was not in a hurry. So they were monsters? Sit with that reaction for a second. First, breathe. You are allowed to be unsettled. But do not close the book yet, because the story bends hard from here. Because the same people did something else. They painted these walls. They carved ornaments to wear. They buried their children with care. Their brains were identical to yours. Same fear, same love, same grief. Cannibalism sat inside their culture, right next to the art and the graves. They dusted their dead with red ochre. They strung beads and wore them. They carved patterns into bone for beauty alone. These were not empty animals. They were people with a full inner world. They laughed. They mourned. They made things with their hands. The same species you pass on the street. The meat in your fridge right now. You did not hunt it. You did not kill it. You opened a package. For most of human history, food was never that simple. Stop and picture your own kitchen for a second. Clean counters, a full fridge, a locked door. That kind of safety is about 10,000 years old. For the rest of our history, there was none. And this was not rare. It was a pattern. Neanderthals in northern Spain, then Neanderthals again over in Belgium. Magdalenian people in England, then the Aztecs far away in Mexico. The Four in the highlands of New Guinea. Germany holds a site with hundreds of processed bodies. Maori accounts describe it after battle. It reaches back tens of thousands of years and forward into living memory. This is not a strange exception to humanity. Different continents, different eras, different kinds of human being entirely. One act showing up everywhere. Here's the part most people get wrong. It was never one thing. The same act carried 3 completely different meanings. Start with the coldest one, hunger. Back to Spain, El Sidrón. About 49,000 years ago, 13 people, 1 related family, adults, teenagers, a young child, an infant. They were all eaten by other Neanderthals. And this is the detail that matters. Their bones were processed like the deer bones beside them, cracked open for the marrow, skulls open for the brain. No altar, no ceremony, no staging. The teeth and jaws told the clearest story. There were fine cuts along the mandible, made to reach the tongue. There was no trace of fire at all. So the bodies were eaten raw. The same winter, the same hunger, the same choice. Nothing about it was symbolic. It was arithmetic. Calories against death. The lead researcher was blunt about it. Killed in winter when the food ran out. Eaten raw, every scrap used. That is not a ritual. That is a family that wanted to live. Every scrap. The last time you were truly hungry. You waited maybe 4 hours and ordered food. They waited weeks, and then the options ran out. So that is meaning 1. Cold and simple. 2 more meanings to go, and they are stranger. Both involve people who were not starving at all. Now the opposite reason. This time, it is belief. Tenochtitlan, the Aztec capital. Here it was theology. The sun had to be fed to keep moving. So captives were sacrificed at the top of the temple. The heart was cut out and offered upward. Some ritual eating of the body did follow. Inside their system, the logic was total. They built racks to display the skulls, rows of them facing the city. It was a message as much as a rite. Chemical tests on the victims' teeth are telling. Most were not locals. They came from far away. Captured enemies. Tribute from conquered towns. Terror was part of the point. You have heard huge numbers for this. 20,000 a year. 80,000 in 4 days. Those came from Spanish conquerors. They had every reason to exaggerate. 80,000 in 4 days is physically impossible. The bones under the temple do not add up to it. Modern estimates land in the low thousands a year. Still brutal. Still state power written in blood. Even the eating here is still debated. The sacrifice is certain. The rest, less so. Just not the cartoon the conqueror sold. So that is meaning 2. Blood as belief. The last one is the hardest to hear. And now the reason that breaks people. The Four in the New Guinea highlands. They ate their own dead. These were not enemies or strangers. A grandmother, a husband, a child. Eating the body was how you kept them with you. It was grief. It was respect. It was love. Picture losing someone you would do anything for. Now picture the cold ground being the wrong answer. For the Four, love had a different address. An anthropologist lived among them for years. She wrote down what the practice meant. Burying a loved one in cold ground felt cruel. Better the body returned to the people who loved it. A daughter took part, so her mother stayed close. The The dead were not thrown away, they were kept. To them, our cemeteries would look lonely. It was tenderness we are not built to see. Is that a monster or a mourner? You know this shape already. It is a funeral, just in a shape you do not recognize. Every culture on earth has a food taboo, something you would never put in your mouth. Yours is human flesh. That taboo is 14,000 years old, and it came at a price. Keep that in mind. Back to the Neanderthals for one cold detail. At the Belgian site, they went further. They used human bones as tools, 4 of them, to sharpen stone blades. A relative became a whetstone. To them, survival left no room for our lines. But one of these reasons carried a hidden cost. The 4 paid it without knowing, and it took a century to show its face, which brings us to the 4 and the 1950s. Something was killing them. The 4 called it kuru. The word means to shake. First the balance goes, then the coordination. Then something stranger. Bursts of uncontrollable laughter. Outsiders called it the laughing sickness. It was always fatal, usually within a year, and it struck mostly women and children. There was a reason for that. At the funerals, the men ate the muscle. The women and children ate the brain. And the brain is where the killer hides. One case surfaced almost 50 years after exposure. The person had eaten at a funeral as a child. The fuse can be that patient. It moved through 3 slow stages. First, an unsteady walk and slurred words. The shaking got worse in the cold. Second, they could no longer stand alone. Third, they could not sit up at all. About 8,000 people lived in the South Four. Kuru killed on the order of thousands of them. Whole villages lost their mothers. A district officer first flagged the disease. Then the doctor arrived and stayed. He proved it by passing it to chimpanzees. And that made it infectious, not inherited. Kuru is not a virus. It is not a bacterium either. It is a prion, a misfolded protein. It touches a healthy protein and bends it 2. That one becomes 2. 2 become 4. Slowly, the brain fills with holes. There is no cure. There still is not. And the fuse can burn for decades. 5 years. Sometimes 50. You could carry it your whole life. One doctor spent years tracing it. He followed it back to the funerals. The work won a Nobel Prize in 1976. Then the practice was stopped, and Kuru faded with it. The last cases came decades later. 3 sites, 3 reasons. 1 act. Hunger in Spain, belief in Mexico, love in New Guinea. Same behavior. A completely different person behind each. So here's the real question of this whole story. Why did humans stop doing this at all? Cultures also wrote it into hard taboo. Rules outlived the reason they were built on. You obey this one, without ever being told why. The comfortable answer is that we grew kinder. The honest answer is colder than that. They did not stop because they turned gentle. They stopped because it was quietly killing them. And evolution kept score. At first, they blamed the family bloodline, but an inherited killer would burn itself out. It was too common and too deadly for that. The funerals were the missing link. Stop the feast. And the fuse never lights. But biology had already been keeping a tally. A 2003 study in Science found the fingerprint. Look at the old 4 who survived many funerals. Almost all of them share one version of a gene, one that resists the prion. The people without it died younger. So the resistant version spread. Selection. Inside a single lifetime. Real evolution caught in the act. Some scientists go further than that. They think ancient outbreaks shaped this gene worldwide. Long before New Guinea. That part is still argued over. The honest answer is we cannot be sure. Disease was one thread. It was not the only one. But the disgust itself is the oldest thread. The gene has 2 common versions at one spot. Carry 2 of the same, and you are vulnerable. Carry 1 of each, and you resist. The vulnerable often sickened young. The resistant lived long enough to grow old, so the elders left were mostly the resistant kind. Researchers called it the strongest selection yet seen. The worldwide version has its skeptics. On the local 4 story, the evidence is strong. So name the culprit clearly. It was not cruelty that ended this. It was biology. The brain of another person carries a trap. Nature built the punishment into the act. 2 forces ended the oldest habit we had. Biology punished it. Culture remembered the lesson. Together, they made the thing feel unthinkable. So think about what you felt at the start. That flinch in your stomach. That is not squeamishness. That is evolution speaking through you. Your ancestors who felt it lived. The ones who did not often did not. You are the descendant of the people who stopped. That disgust is a gift. One your species paid a very high price for. You will never be tested the way they were. No winter cave. No funeral feast. No empty valley. You inherited the ending, not the ordeal, but the reflex is still in you. It fires faster than thought and deeper than choice, older than any language you speak, written before the first word was said, and you are still holding the cup. Someone smoothed that rim so it would not cut a lip. Careful, deliberate, human. Look down at it one more time. This was never a trophy. It was a goodbye. The cup is human. So were the hands that made it. If starving was the only way to live, what would you do? Be honest with yourself first, then with me. I read every single one.